Oh my God, guys, welcome back to another edition of the No Bystanders Pod featuring Cameron Rose. This week, we got a very special edition of the pod, all right? We're going to be going over every time I've seen Lil Uzi Vert live over the last 10 years, all right? Now, I thought I saw him a bit more than the times I came up. I think on this list is like 7 or 8 times, I'm pretty sure. Confirmed 7 shows. I thought it was more, but it's only 7 for some reason. But my first show was in December 2016, and the most recent show was in June 2026. So pretty much 10 years ago was the first time I saw Lil Uzi Vert live. At that time, it was before the EXO tour live, before Love is Rage 2. All this new stuff that, I hear a lot of people saying, I remember the old Uzi, and they talking about Love is Rage 2. And bro had his on his before that. That's all I'm saying. But it's been really cool to see Lil Uzi grow over the years. See him go from 1,000 people in a venue to, selling out shows, 20,000 people, and even headlining festivals and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, let's get into it. Before my first Lil Uzi Vert show, Love is Rage dropped in 2015. I fuck with that album, I remember a time and point where like 7 a.m. I think was like one of Lil Uzi Vert's biggest songs. Like that song is still crazy today. If you haven't listened to 7 a.m., you gotta go check that shit out off of Love is Rage. Man, Super Saiyan is another one of my favorite songs from this project. All My Chains too. Top. Like there's hella hits on hits from this album. If you haven't listened to this album, you got to go check it out, or you got to go back to it, man. That shit was crazy. And then after that we got Lil Uzi Vert versus the World. Man, there's hella classics on here too, bro. I don't think, personally for me, there was no skips on fucking Uzi's earlier projects. All right, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I mean, look at this. We got Canadian Goose, High Roller, Money Longer, Grab the Wheel, You Was Right, Baby Are You Home, P's and Q's, Team Rocket. Man, there's like, it's just hits on hits, bro. Man, You Was Right was a good song back in the day. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty good song back in the day. And yeah, I think he was also dropping on SoundCloud at that time. But anyways, and then we got the Perfect Love tape. By God. It's even more here. 7 Million, Rhonda, Winners, Eraser Social, Silence Watching, Money Mitch. Of course, We Ghetto Flowers, 4 of Us, Do What I Want, man. Just hits on hits. Like Uzi at this time period, I remember correctly, he was just dropping hits on hits. I don't remember exactly when I got into Lil Uzi Vert's music. It might have been around May 2016. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember how, but I remember listening to Uzi back then around that time. And I think the XXL Freshman Cypher dropped some point during this year. I think like maybe June. I don't know. I got that in my notes here, probably coming up, but hella hits on hits. But anyways, guys, we're going to get to our first show. The first time I saw Lil Uzi was on December 3rd, 2016 at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. I think it was advertised as like Lil Uzi Vert and Friends. It wasn't even like an album tour or anything like that. I don't remember who opened or anything like that. And there's like barely any information about this show online. But there had to been at least 1,000 people there, I think. I'm pretty sure there was at least 1,000 people there. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, it was still lit. I think he played Buy It, like all the classics off those albums I just went over. And yeah, I remember like P's and Q's, I think was like one of Uzi's biggest songs too at that time. And that was crazy as well. This was before EXO Tour Life 2. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I'm going to get into that in a little bit later because, it's pretty cool going from like seeing him like from 1,000 people to like sold out with like 20,000 people or even headlining festivals and stuff like that. But yeah, man, this concert was pretty cool. I was on the balcony. I went with one of my friends from middle school, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it was a cool time. We weren't on the floor. We were in the balcony, but there was like nobody in the balcony. Like nobody in the balcony. Like today, if you had a show there, that should be sold the fuck out. but there was nobody in the balcony. All right, there was just people on the floor, and I'll probably put some clips in when I clip this episode. But yeah, that show was great, and I think that Lil Uzi was my favorite artist at that time. Before Travis Scott, Lil Uzi was my favorite artist. All right, super heavy into Uzi at this time. Nonstop, all the SoundCloud stuff, all that stuff. And anyways, this leads us to show number 2, which is August 10th, I believe, 2017. It's at the Dome at Oakdale Theater, I'm pretty sure. In Wallingford, Connecticut. This is in Connecticut. I drove down there with my buddy Cole. Took his, I believe, Ford Fusion at the time. Just me and him down there. A couple of degenerates riding down to Connecticut from Massachusetts. But yeah, I remember we actually ended up in a supermarket after this show somehow. I don't know why. But anyways, this show was pretty lit. I think the venue was nice, but it was pretty small too. I don't remember who the openers were. I think this was this is right before Love Is Rage 2 dropped, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it was like an interesting time. He just went through all the old bangers. Some of the tracks he took off the set list too after that. But yeah, man. That shit was crazy. And then, we got Love Is Rage 2 dropping. That classic album, you already know. Some of my favorite songs are Early 20 Ragers, 2, Sauce It Up, you already know. Man, there were no misses on this album, I'm not gonna lie. The excitement for this album was off the charts because it was Uzi's biggest album ever. It was really like Astroworld for Travis Scott. That was this album. That was all the hype that was around this album. I remember I had an Android at the time, so I had to listen to it on Google Play. I remember downloading that specifically. But yeah. Anyways, so we go to that dropped, and then my third time seeing Uzi was December 21st, 2017. I think the show was called a Very Uzi Christmas. I'm pretty sure. I think this was the Love Is Rage 2 tour, and this was pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, this show was pretty dope. I don't remember all the openers, but I remember Lil Skies open for this show, and I still fuck with Skies heavy, but that was cool because that was right before he blew up into Life of a Dark Rose and all that stuff dropped. Life of a Dark Rose 2, I think Skies got the tattoo on his face. That was one of the reasons why I got, my rose. This is my first tattoo ever. That was some of the inspiration behind it, other reasons too. But yeah, one of the reasons I said, fuck it, we getting the rose tattoo as the first one. But yeah, man, I love that album. No misses on it. I didn't really know Lil Skies before that show too, and hearing him, it was who the fuck is this dude? That's how good the music was sounding. And yeah, Skies are going on tour too, coming up in the very near future. I might make it out to that Worcester show. But yeah, anyways, I think my friend that I went to the Connecticut show with, good brother Cole, was supposed to meet me at this show, but it was in December. I think it was one of the busiest travel days in Boston. This was at the House of Blues, so it's right downtown. And I think he couldn't make it in because he was stuck in traffic for too long. He got there. I remember he got there right as the show ended. And I made a Snapchat video. I was like, yo, you finally arrived at the concert. And we were like, let's go. It's it's over. It's over, bro. It's over. But yeah, this show was pretty lit. I was sick as fuck at this show. I'm talking about cold, freaking stuffed up, sinuses real bad. I remember for this show specifically too, I was in the back turning up. I was raging for every song on this show. And I remember this dude came up to me and was like, yo, what are you doing back here? I was like, I don't know. I was fucking little kid nervous. He's like, yo, you belong up there. And then after that, he led me up to the mosh pits to the front. And at this show is where I became a rager. I'm not going to lie. That was we were going crazy. Just Uzi's music had me just turning up I've never turned up before. All right, so that was my most memorable time for this show, and we made it up to the guardrail for the end of it. So that was pretty lit too. And then I didn't see Uzi after that for a little bit. I think the next one was the Endless Summer Tour, which I think G-Eazy was headlining that one, technically. Endless Summer Tour, August 26, 2018, Xfinity Center, Mansfield, Massachusetts. You already know. The lineup was G-Eazy, Lil Uzi Vert, T.Y. Dolla $ign, YBN Amir, Pilo, I think. I think that was his name. Pretty sure that was his name. But yeah, it was like one of those amphitheater summer tours with a bunch of artists on it. I believe they had a few of them. I don't even know if Logic and G-Eazy are still going on that tour coming up. I think they were doing some amphitheaters, some smaller ones. I think they weren't doing Mansfield. They were doing the one in Boston for this year. I don't know if that tour is still going on, but we'll see. I don't know. The ticket sales might have been weird for that tour. But, I'll go see them. I'm not going to lie. I'll go see G-Eazy and Logic. You know what I mean? You already know. Just for the nostalgia vibes. But anyways, this tour was pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. I believe G-Eazy 2 came out with a Beautiful Damned around this time. I think I saw him earlier in 2018 too. But, that album was his main one at that time. So he was still playing that shit. And Lil Uzi Vert, that experience was cool. My favorite memory from the show too, I'm not gonna lie, is just hearing EXO tour life, and from going to see him in like 1,000 people venues to now there was like 20,000 people there, and like everyone's got their phone lights out and everyone's singing EXO tour life. So that was pretty dope for sure, just to see Uzi, progress that much at this point in time in 2018. And yeah, and then I think there was like a 5-year gap, I'm pretty sure, between then and the next time I saw Uzi. I think the next time was at Rolling Loud 23. Yeah, 23. There was a lot that happened through this. We got the pandemic, we got Eternal Attic, which I wish he did a tour for that album. We got like the Rolling Loud live performance, I guess, and that was cool, but I really want to see him, perform Silly Watch live, because I want to go word for word with that song live until I can't breathe no more, because that shit's fun to rap. I'm not gonna lie. But I wish he did a tour for that. Didn't do a tour for that. But yeah, we got multiple projects. That Future Uzi project coming up. We got Just Wanna Rock. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I think was it 23? Yeah, I think it was 23. Actually, this leads me to the next time WrestleMania goes Hollywood. I think this was 23, April 23. Uzi came out, I think, for like Jey Uso's entrance or some shit like that, and performed there. So I was at that. I got to see him perform that live there. And that was pretty dope in SoFi Stadium. State-of-the-art facility. Great stadium. But then this leads me to the next time I saw him, which after that was Rolling Loud 23 in Miami, and Pink Tape dropped since then. So like all the Uzi songs at this point have changed up completely since the first time I saw him. And 2 After Astro dropped, like Uzi wasn't my favorite artist. Travis Scott became my favorite artist. To keep it real, you already know. But yeah, this dropped, and I think at this time Offset was performing at the same time Uzi was performing, and I really like the Migos a lot, and Takeoff had recently just passed away. So I went to Offset's set to turn up for Offset. To turn up for Takeoff for Offset. That was my kind of logic behind it, but I did catch the end of Uzi's set. But I remember too, if you watch fucking Offset's set at Rolling Loud 23, few times it pans to the crowd and I'm like, everyone's standing still and I'm the only one jumping in the crowd. So no one was turning up for Offset. All the rages were at Uzi, which is why I went back over to Uzi and caught the end of it. But that was pretty dope too. I'm glad I went to Offset because, Takeoff passed away and I never saw Migos live. So, yeah, that was still dope. I did wish I caught all of Uzi's set at that point in time. And then after that, Rolling Out 23 was great, by the way. That was my first music festival. Then after that, my next time seeing Uzi was the Pink Tape tour on Halloween in Boston, Massachusetts at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. this is pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. Pink Tape was dope to hear live. And also at this time, the funniest story was, I went to this show solo, and I knew my friend, good brother Jack, was at it. And we didn't link up before or anything like that, but as Shooter started playing, we like linked up. And at the time, I don't know, they were cool ass shoes, but they were like some fucking Nike shoes from Target. I should have just wore Air Force Ones, but I fucking slipped and fell on Shooter, and I remember like they had to pick me up. But then we turned the fuck up for Shooter. But this show was pretty dope too, on Halloween as well. Dope ass show. Pink Tape Tour was cool. I fuck with that album. Didn't fuck with it at first. Fuck with it the more I listened to it. And that brings us to the last time I saw Uzi was at Summer Smash earlier this year, headlining the festival. Which pretty crazy to see him go from 1,000 people venues to headlining festivals. Uzi also hasn't performed in a while before this Summer Smash show. So, it was pretty dope to see him performing again. At Summer Smash, headlining the festival and shit like that. Like, I hadn't seen him perform in like 3 years. So, it was dope to see Uzi again. And, I'm excited for this next Uzi album / tour. I'm going to be hitting a few stops on that tour, hopefully. I don't even know what to expect, It's going to be crazy, Seeing Uzi headline this year and play some of his old hits at Summer Smash 2 reminded me why I fuck with Uzi so heavy. Because he just got hits on hits, bro. Like, he just got hits on hits. Like that new EP drops, I think it's alright, but some of his older stuff, like those 2016 albums, like there's no skips in that. You feel me? So yeah, I hope for his next tour too, he goes to bigger venues. I don't know if he's gonna be able to. But yeah, y'all remember when Uzi was bigger than Cardi? Because I do. But anyways. This has been the No Bystander Pod. Just a quick little overview of this Uzi, my history with Uzi and seeing him come up. It's super dope to see him go from 1,000 people to, headlining festivals with 80,000 people there. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Let me know, guys, how many times you've seen Uzi. What's been your favorite time seeing Uzi? If you remember what it was like before Love is Rage 2, if you remember that era. And I would love to know. And yeah, thanks for checking out this week's episode. A little short one this week, but we still got something. We got hella content coming up pretty soon here on the No Bystanders Pod. So make sure you subscribe for more content. Make sure you follow Cameron Rose. You already know, full concerts. We got the whole Yeet tour from earlier this week, or it might have been a week before by the time this is up. We got that up on the channel. We got some underground shows coming up, and we got the Don Toliver tour coming up as well, and Ken Carson. All that stuff's going to be on Cameron Rose, so make sure to subscribe to that, and also on the podcast. But anyways, thanks for checking out this week's episode. Peace.